Black power.
Black power.
For the land.
For the people.
By any and all means necessary. I'm General Mwa.
And I'm General Wamani.
Coming in from the Miami base. This is Universal Underground Railroad News. So tonight we would like to get back off on the topic, African Holocaust Part 2. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, we came to the conclusion that we are sick. We are a sick peoples. We sick because of a symptom that plagues us, and it's called the post-African Holocaust obtrusion syndrome that is left untreated, and that is our diagnosis. We have to remember that. And that it also explains the behavior of our people right now at this present time and moment. We are also diagnosed with another syndrome that's also a part of our Holocaust, and it's the Willie Lynch syndrome that has been inflicted on our ancestors during servitude, the era of servitude, rather. And we still suffer these symptoms to this day. Right now, at this moment, we got to draw the line and recognize our symptoms and come up with cures, only without the enemy that imposed these particular holocausts on our peoples. We should do this on our own and not involve those that was involved and still is involved in our Holocaust. We do not need no input of no white person, such as the enemy, to tell us what to do when we're being targeted. Like walking the streets with our hands up. It's not smart. As a human being, we should realize that we do have the right to protect ourselves against anything that could put our lives in danger. And please, let's stop telling each other that we are our own worst enemy. That's false. That came from the enemy, the natural enemy, in which is the white man and white woman. I can't leave her out. Brothers and sisters, we've living in a bad time in this day and age. And for 6,000 years, we lost over 6 billion black brothers and sisters. 6 billion. The Jewish Holocaust, so-called documented wise, they lost 6 million. That's what they say. They lost 6 million. There's no comparison once again to the African Holocaust. And once again, I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that we are victims of the post-traumatic African obtrusion Holocaust that is untreated. Can you recognize that, folks? It's not a joke, just look it up. Overstand the way you act at this present moment. Overstand the origins of our condition. Now, as of this point, we have took the trade of rapists, thieves, murderers, pillagers, and everything else that's evil. Guess what? We're doing it now. To our own. And that's because of our condition of the post-traumatic African Holocaust obtrusion syndrome. Black power.
Black power. I want to hit on some topics upon the African Holocaust that include that all Europeans' hands are bloody and that they're all guilty and they're all criminals. All European countries are criminals. Let's start with the French. Leopold and his comrades, his infantry, his military, affected over 10 million beautiful African people in the Congo. 10 million were lost. That's just documented wise, which means there could be more. They used something called the chicote to hurt our people and whip them when they didn't understand certain things, they didn't understand the language, or when they didn't follow the orders. And if they were whipped 100 times, they'd go unconscious. We have the Portuguese who ruled in Angola. Then we have the Germans in Cameroon. Let's not forget about the Dutch. Let's not forget about the Dutch. The Dutch had over 550,000 slaves. And in history, documented wise, during that time, when we go into the 16th century and the 19th century, there was about 500 million people on the planet. The difference between the east part of Europe and the west part of Europe, the east side, by the 1800s, gave up so-called slavery, which they really didn't, because they continued with human trafficking, like Russia. And they also had Asian slaves, but moving in indomitable fortitude. A lot of these European countries that say that didn't have slaves had slaves. So let's get that straight. Okay, you have the Dutch, once again, who had the West Indies campaign that was established in 1621. It was a human slave trade company. I mean, how sick could you be mentally to do that? When you were taught the skills of how to take care of the planet, but then you do the opposite. They are unteachable. They will not help us in our freedom, to give us complete freedom, that is. So we got to remember, the African Holocaust is bigger than the Jewish Holocaust. As a matter of fact, the Jewish were all up in the 13 colonies. They were also on the docks receiving slaves, and they were also driving the Spanish ships, the British ships, the French ships, the Portuguese ships, which explains why there's so many Jews, so-called Jews, up in the 13 colonies. So please don't make us seem like we hate white people. We're telling you real history. And this is still going on. The genocide is still going on today, so the African Holocaust is still ongoing. And the reason I'm saying this is because reparations are due. Now they say they're never going to give us reparations. That's right, because we're going to take it. It's a new age and time, and we are going to take back our humanity. We're going to take back our land. This time around is different because they also affected the indigenous people who are also African peoples. So that's way over 6 billion as well, because the brother just said that was his documented wise, but undocumented wise we don't know. The numbers are preposterous. So we need reparations for our old people, for the babies that weren't born, for the minds that are affected psychologically, for the health deficiencies that we've gained from all the injections of different vaccines, of polio and AIDS, of man-made diseases. We want reparations for all that and our land. And that's what the African Holocaust is about, is our reparations. That's what we talk about it. This is what we need to do. And we will do it by any and all means necessary. Because no man could ever take away what you've learned. No man could ever take away your humanity unless you let him. No man can ever take away your skills, anything that you've learned. Because no man gained it on his own. It was given by the Almighty Creator, which goes by many names, as we know. So remember, the African Holocaust is the biggest Holocaust that ever existed, and there is no European hand that is clean. Let's get that straight. Black power.